Inside the ambulance, Richard's eyes fluttered. The stroke had felled him minutes earlier. Paramedics worked over him, their voices tense as the sirens wailed toward County General. They wheeled him through the emergency bay, the gurney rattling over polished floors. As they rounded the corner into the cardiac wing, a gold plaque caught the overhead light. It read, "The Barbara Cardiac Wing." And for a split second, Richard's eyes focused on that name.
Sir, can you hear me? Stay with us. He's in good hands. This unit was funded by a donor who made sure we have the latest equipment.
Recognition cut through his fog, a name he had buried years ago. Then his eyes rolled back, and the monitors screamed. They rushed him into the ICU, leaving the plaque gleaming in the empty hallway. 15 years earlier, Barbara was 23 and standing in her parents' formal living room, her hands trembling.
Mom, Dad, I am not taking over the business. I need to follow my own path.
After everything we built, you'd throw it away for some fantasy?
You are ungrateful. You've always been selfish, Barbara.
Hours later, Barbara packed a single suitcase. They had given her no choice.
They'll never understand, but I can't live their life for them.
By nightfall, the family had already decided how the story would be told.
She walked out without a thought for us. After all we sacrificed.
Barbara never cared about this family. She's dead to me.
And so the word ungrateful was nailed to her name, long before it was ever carved in gold. But Barbara did not disappear. Over the next 10 years, she built a consulting firm from a rented room.
Give quietly. That's what Grandma always said.
After her first major contract, Barbara walked into County General and handed over a check for the cardiac unit.
This is incredibly generous, ma'am. But we'd normally publicize such a gift.
No publicity. My grandmother was treated here years ago. That's enough.
She later wrote a formal letter, insisting on complete anonymity. She even refused to attend the wing's opening. The hospital, bound by her wishes, quietly began expanding the cardiac wing with her funds. Year after year, her donations arrived without signature, buying equipment that saved strangers' lives.
They don't need to know my name. They just need to survive.
Across town, her parents still called her ungrateful, never suspecting what she was quietly building. Years passed, but the story stayed fixed. At every family gathering, Eleanor repeated the same line.
She never even calls. Some people just don't know what family means.
Every holiday, that chair's empty. She's too busy for us.
But 40 miles away, the cardiac wing was finished. The hospital insisted on honoring its secret donor. The board persuaded Barbara to let them use her name. She agreed, but refused to attend any unveiling. At the unveiling, a small crowd gathered. The gold plaque was uncovered, reading, "The Barbara Cardiac Wing."
Grandma, I hope you can see this. I didn't need to be there.
Back at the family home, the talk was still of betrayal. They never read the local news.
That girl took everything and gave nothing back. I hope she's proud of her choices.
And so the wing stood, its name hidden in plain sight, waiting for the day it would intersect with the man who had first called her ungrateful. Within the hour, Eleanor stumbled through the hospital doors, her coat half-buttoned, her eyes wild with fear.
Where's Dad? What happened?
He's in the cardiac wing. Follow me.
They walked briskly down the corridor, and then they passed it. A golden plaque set into the wall.
Wait, the Barbara Cardiac Wing? That's my daughter's name?
The donor funded this entire unit. Because of that, we can provide the best care.
Eleanor stepped closer. Her hand hovered over the engraved letters, a storm of questions behind her eyes.
It's a common name. Don't read into it.
Your husband is stable. The equipment here is entirely donor-funded. We're grateful for every machine.
Eleanor sat rigid, her hands clasped tight. A name she had used as a curse now hung in the air like a ghost. Eleanor couldn't sit still. She pulled out her phone and typed Barbara Cardiac Wing. The headline read, "Local businesswoman Barbara Halden funds state-of-the-art heart unit."
Michael, look at this. It's her. It's really her.
So, the ungrateful daughter bought a hospital wing, and we had to find out like this?
Before Michael could say more, Dr. Harris appeared at the door, his expression grave.
Mr. Halden needs a specialized procedure. The cost not covered by insurance is substantial.
He handed them a printed estimate. The bottom line, $212,000. They stared at the number.
212 grand. She's got millions. This wing is hers. She should be paying, not us.
After everything we said, how can we even ask?
The bill sat on the table between them, and for the first time, Eleanor considered dialing a number she had erased years ago. For a long moment, Eleanor stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over a name she had deleted long ago. Then, with a shaky breath, she pressed call. The line rang 3 times before a calm voice answered.
Hello.
Barbara, it's your mother. Your father's had a stroke. He's in the cardiac wing at County General.
I'll come.
The line went dead. Eleanor listened to the silence, her hand trembling against the receiver.
They probably think I'll say no. They never understood who I am. He's still my father. But this doesn't change what they did.
She grabbed her coat and car keys, her face giving nothing away. Eleanor stared at the phone, still pressed to her ear, too stunned to speak. 30 seconds passed before she set it down. Barbara's sedan rolled into the hospital parking lot. She cut the engine and stepped out, her face composed. She walked through the glass doors, heels clicking. Across the lobby, the gold plaque caught the light, but she didn't turn. When she rounded the corner, Eleanor's hand flew to her mouth. Michael leaned against the wall, his jaw tight.
Well, the woman who built a hospital wing finally shows up.
I am here for my father. Where is he?
Eleanor couldn't speak. She simply pointed. Barbara followed her down the corridor to the ICU entrance. Through the glass, Richard lay unconscious, a maze of tubes around him. She pressed her palm to the cold pane.
He looks so small. I'd like to see him alone.
Eleanor nodded and stepped back. Michael began to protest, but she stopped him. The door closed between them. Dr. Harris stepped in and laid out the reality.
Without a specialized stent, he won't recover. The uncovered cost is $212,000.
I'll pay every cent. Do whatever you need.
She followed him to the business office and wrote a check without a flicker of hesitation. The ink dried on a sum that would have shattered most families.
Make sure the bill is cleared today.
Eleanor had followed, her hand pressed to the doorframe, unseen.
She didn't even blink. After all our blame, she just paid.
The balance sheet now reads 0. The weight they had carried was lifted by the daughter they had cast out, and as Barbara turned, she saw her mother standing there, eyes wet, mouth opening to speak, but nothing came. That night, the ward fell silent. Barbara dragged a chair to the bedside and took her father's hand, the monitors beeping a slow rhythm.
You probably can't hear me, but I've been waiting years to say this. Grandma taught me that gratitude isn't about getting what you want. It's about holding on to what matters, even when it hurts. So, I held on to the good. I held on to you and Mom. Even when you let me go, I never let go. I wish you could see that I am not ungrateful. I am just your daughter.
In the doorway, Eleanor had returned, frozen in the crack of the door. She heard every word.
She never stopped loving him. All our words, and she still came.
Barbara brushed a strand of gray hair from Richard's forehead and pressed her lips softly there.
Come back to us, Dad.
Eleanor turned away, her hand clamped over her mouth. She walked back down the hall, leaving the door open just a little. The next morning, Barbara sat alone in the cafeteria, a paper cup cooling between her hands. She didn't look up when footsteps stopped beside her.
Barbara, I need to understand, after all these years, why you did this.
Understand what, Mom?
Why, after everything we said, after we cast you out, you still paid. You still came. Why?
Grandma taught me that gratitude is a choice. I chose to hold on to what mattered, not the anger.
But we were cruel. We called you ungrateful. How can you not hate us?
I promised Grandma I'd never become bitter. Hate is heavy, Mom. I preferred to build.
Eleanor's composure shattered. She sank into the chair opposite, tears spilling onto the table.
I am so sorry. For every word, every year. Please, can you forgive me?
They sat together in the sterile light, the distance between them starting to close. The word ungrateful was no longer a weapon. Michael had watched the whole exchange from a corner table. When Eleanor rose to get coffee, he slid into her seat.
Well, That was a masterclass in forgiveness. You ever get tired of being the saint?
He's still that boy who felt invisible.
All my life, I've been compared to you. And even when you were gone, you still won. Why am I admitting this? This isn't what I planned.
Michael, I never wanted to compete. I just wanted to survive. The money, the wing, it was never about you. But I am not the same girl who left. I won't be a doormat. If we do this, it's one step at a time.
Michael stared at the table. Then he looked up, eyes red-rimmed.
I am sorry for everything. I don't know how to fix it.
She reached across and covered his fist with her palm. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was the start of something new. 3 days later, Richard's eyes flickered open. The room was dim, and the only sound was the mechanical beep of a heart monitor. His mind dragged through fog. The last thing he remembered was the ambulance, then the glint of a gold plaque. Nurse Lee noticed and pressed a button on the bed remote to raise him slightly.
You are in the Barbara cardiac wing, Mr. Halden. She's the reason we have the advanced equipment that saved you.
The plaque. It read, "The Barbara Cardiac Wing." My daughter's name. All those years, she was gone. She built this. For strangers. Barbara. Is she here?
She's been here every day. Your whole family has. She paid for your treatment, too.
Please, get her.
The nurse nodded and left. Richard closed his eyes, a tear slipping onto the pillow. The name he had once erased was now the only word he could say. The door swung inward, and Barbara stepped through. The fluorescent light carved her silhouette against the hallway shadows.
She came. After 15 years and 1,000 lies, she walked through that door.
He lifted a trembling hand, the IV line pulling taut. Without a word, she crossed the room and enfolded it in both of hers.
I saw the plaque before I went under. The Barbara Cardiac Wing. Was that you?
She nodded, a single motion, her eyes never leaving his.
I called you ungrateful. I said you were dead to me.
His voice cracked. The venom dissolved into something softer. Shame, maybe, or the beginning of grief.
Why? After everything I did to you, why would you save my life?
He's finally ready. After all the silence, he's asking the right question.
Behind the narrow glass, Eleanor and Michael pressed close, their breath fogging the pain. Barbara's lips parted, and the room held its breath.
Grandma once told me something the day before she died. She said, "Gratitude isn't about getting everything you want. It's about holding onto what matters when the rest falls apart." So I held onto the good. The father who taught me to ride a bike, not the one who said I was dead to him. I never stopped being grateful for the things that mattered. And you are still my father.
Richard's face crumpled. The tears he'd held back for 15 years broke free.
I am sorry for every word, for every year.
He reached for her, and she wrapped her arms around his frail shoulders, the machines still beeping their steady rhythm.
This is what Grandma meant. Not winning, just loving. You don't have to deserve it, Dad. You are my father. That's enough.
The gold plaque gleamed in the hallway, but in this room, the only thing that mattered was the quiet truth finally spoken. The door clicked open, and Eleanor stepped forward, her face streaked with tears. Michael followed, his shoulders slumped.
That woman, the one you keep talking about, our daughter. We were so blind.
Mom, it's okay. We don't have to rehash it all.
Can we start over? Please, I know we don't deserve it, but I am asking.
Barbara looked from her mother to her brother, then back to her father, who watched silently from the pillows.
It'll take time. But if you are willing to try, so am I.
We are.
A small sound came from the bed. Richard had lifted his hand again, reaching toward her. She took it, and then Eleanor's hand covered both of theirs. Michael rested his palm on top. No one spoke. The heart monitor beeped steadily, a quiet witness to the fragile new beginning. A week later, the room felt lighter. Richard was propped up, his color returning, the monitors now silent. Barbara entered with a bouquet of yellow roses. They were the same shade their grandmother had once grown by the porch.
Those look like the ones your grandma had by the porch.
I planted some at my house. Every spring, they remind me of her.
He nodded, and for a moment, they simply sat in the thin sunlight, the silence no longer heavy.
The nurse says you are eating solid food again. That's progress.
I am not entirely sure hospital meatloaf qualifies as solid.
He made a joke. A real, silly joke.
Eleanor appeared at the door with a container of homemade soup, setting it on the tray. Barbara glanced at the label and smiled. The quiet was no longer a barrier. It had become, without any of them saying it, the sound of a family learning to breathe together. Later that afternoon, Barbara slipped away to the hospital chapel, its wooden doors closing softly behind her. Inside, stained glass filtered the sun into blue and gold ribbons. She slid into a back pew alone. She closed her eyes, and for a moment she was back in her grandmother's bedroom, holding that frail hand her grandmother had once whispered. A gift given in silence asks nothing back. That's the purest kind.
I finally understand. None of it, the money, the wing, the plaque, was for them. It was for her. I didn't build a wing to prove them wrong. I built it because she taught me how to give.
She touched the silver locket at her throat, the one her grandmother had pressed into her palm years before.
You would have loved this, Grandma. Not the plaque, but the quiet. The quiet live saved.
The anger she had refused to carry for years finally dissolved. In its place, a quiet peace settled. She rose, the locket warm against her skin, and walked back toward the wing that bore her name, no longer a stranger's memorial, but a daughter's silent thank you. The following week, with discharge approaching, Eleanor insisted they all share a meal in the bright, industrial cafeteria. Richard, now strong enough for a wheelchair, allowed Barbara to push him.
This isn't exactly home cooking, but at least we're together.
It's better than I expected. Almost feels like a real family dinner.
If you think this is bad, try the diner we went to. After Dad's store opening, their coffee could strip paint.
So strange. Sitting here, it almost feels normal.
We were hoping you might come for Thanksgiving. It would mean a lot to all of us.
I'd like that. But I am warning you. I make a better pecan pie than Mom.
That's my girl.
For the first time in 15 years, the empty chair at their table was filled, not with a stranger, but with their daughter. And in that sterile cafeteria, a new chapter, full of fragile hope, quietly began. The morning of discharge arrived quietly, sun streaming through the lobby windows. A nurse brought the wheelchair, and Richard looked up expectantly.
Wait, not out the front door yet. Take me back to the plaque.
Barbara nodded and wheeled him slowly down the long corridor. The plaque waited, catching the first beams of afternoon light. They stopped before the gold letters. For a long moment neither spoke. Richard reached back, his hand finding hers on the push handle. He covered it, his fingers cold and unsteady. She moved around the wheelchair and stood beside him. He took her hand again, and together they faced the name carved in metal. The word ungrateful was gone. In its place was simply Barbara, gleaming under the quiet witness of the sun.
This is the only unveiling that ever mattered.
After a while he released her hand and nodded toward the doors. The world outside waited, and as they moved forward, the plaque remained, no longer a stranger's monument, but a family's silent declaration. Barbara started the engine and pulled out of the parking lot. The hospital grew small in her rearview mirror. On the passenger seat, the silver locket glinted in the last light of the day. She glanced at it, her fingers brushing the chain.
She was right. A gift given in silence really is the purest kind.
The woman they called ungrateful had built something out of pain that would outlast every harsh word ever spoken. Gratitude isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a wing you never see, built by a daughter who never stopped loving quietly.
I didn't need them to see it. I just had to keep the promise.
The road stretched ahead, back to the life she had built on her own terms. The hospital faded, but its name remained. Inside, the gold plaque stood in the empty corridor, bathed in the last rays of sun, waiting for the first light of tomorrow. And in the silence, the truth was unshakable. The most grateful hearts often go unnoticed, until they build something impossible to ignore. The Barbara cardiac wing. A daughter's silent thank you, carved in gold, and a family slowly learning what gratitude really means. The sun sank lower, and the plaque caught the final golden fire of the day. No crowd gathered. No cameras flashed. The name simply glowed. It was never about applause. It was about keeping a promise whispered long ago. The ungrateful daughter had built a cathedral of grace in silence, and the ones who called her selfish now walked through those halls as proof of a love that asked nothing back. The Barbara cardiac wing stood not as a monument to resentment, but as a quiet testament that the most grateful hearts often go unnoticed, until they build something impossible to ignore. And sometimes, the only thing left to say is written in the light. The Barbara cardiac wing, a daughter's silent thank you, carved in gold.